In part 5 of this unending series looking at the ideas of historian Tom Holland, we're going to look at his claims regarding science and its alleged utter dependence on the ideals and values of Christianity. Take a look.
I think the concept of science as it emerges in the 19th century, I think, is entirely exclusive to Christian civilization.
Without Christianity, we would not have science.
Now, whatever you do, please, I'm begging you, refrain from mentioning any of this to the ancient Greeks. Okay? Please. They're going to be heartbroken. Aside from that obvious problem, which we'll get to in a moment, the other problem here is the same one we confronted regarding the Enlightenment. What took so freaking long? If Christianity is the impetus, the inspiration, the necessary and required spark for, the cause of the development of our modern sciences, and Christianity held dominion over the Western world for more than 1,000 years, why no science when Tom's Christian waters were at their peak? Could it be, and admittedly I'm spitballing here, but could it be that Christianity simply had no interest in such things? Could it be that the things of this world were not compelling or of any real value to Christians, aside from the wealth and power in which the church was obviously ridiculously interested? Jesus said, "Take no thought for the morrow," and that his kingdom was not of this world. Perhaps the Christians were more interested in building Augustine's city of God. And speaking of Augustine, could it be that maybe his ideas were a bit of a stumbling block? Quote, "From this disease of curiosity are all those strange sights exhibited in the theater. Hence, men go on to search out the hidden powers of nature, which is besides our end, which to know profits not, and wherein men desire nothing but to know." End quote. Perhaps these were the waters Christians swam in for the next millennium. And heck, why bother figuring out this world and making things better when A, suffering is a good thing, something which brings us closer to the sufferings of our Lord, and B, our Lord is coming back any day now, right? Until then, God will provide. He'll look out for us just like he does with the birds of the heavens or the lilies of the field.
Consider the lily. He's having a go at the flowers now.
If you're going to weave a narrative and talk about the waters we swim in, it's pretty easy to make the case for why Christianity wouldn't have developed science when the so-called Christian waters were at high tide, and for more than 1,000 years. I'm sure there was a Timarchus Hollandsthenes of the ancient world telling everyone that they couldn't possibly develop geometry, astronomy, logic, metaphysics, chemistry, etc. without the gods of classical paganism. Tom is to the ancient Greeks and Romans what Neil deGrasse Tyson is to Pluto. Aristotle has been downgraded. No longer the world's first scientist, according to Tom. I mean, how could he be, right? You can't possibly observe the natural world, form an idea about the causes of phenomena, run an experiment, and analyze the results when you don't even have a Jesus yet. Is that not obvious to everyone? Well, apparently it wasn't obvious to the ancient Greeks and Romans, because that's exactly the kind of thing they did. From Britannica, quote, "Aristotle worked in physics, chemistry, biology, zoology, and botany, in psychology, political theory, and ethics, in logic and metaphysics, and in history, literary theory, and rhetoric." End quote. Let me paraphrase my friend, PhD and historian of ancient history, Dr. Richard Carrier. Aristotle performed dissection and vivisection experiments in animal anatomy and physiology. He compiled the most scientific range of zoological works, and Greek science didn't die after Aristotle, as some Christians have suggested. Aristotle's successor, Theophrastus, continued his work and extended it into other fields like botany, physiology, pyrology, mineralogy, etc. The Greco-Roman achievements in science go on and on and on in mechanics, physics, cartography, experimental pneumatics. They figured out the tides and the effect of the moon on the tides. They performed dissection of human cadavers, originated neurophysiology with experiments demonstrating mapped mental and motor functions. They charted the stars, predicted lunar and solar eclipses, and they continued doing all of this right up through the physician Galen in the 3rd century CE. If you want to know more and go into quite a bit more depth on Greco-Roman science, take a look at Dr. Richard Carrier's essay, Christianity Was Not Responsible for Modern Science, in the terrific anthology called The Christian Delusion. I've literally just barely touched the surface here. So if you're not already familiar with what the Greeks and the Romans achieved in terms of science, I guarantee your mind will be blown. So what does all of this mean? Why are Christians and those pandering to them now trying to claim the benefits of the Enlightenment and the scientific revolution as their own? And when Christianity had more than 1,000 years to bring us such progress and clearly failed? I have some thoughts on that. Shocking, right? And that's what we'll look at in part 9/8 of this temporally unbound series. Until then, I'm me. Thanks for watching.